In mediation, you will always encounter some difficult parties. And at that moment, what should a mediator do when he or she encounter some difficult parties? I want to share some tips on how to deal with difficult parties in mediation. Even in mediation, sometimes you can encounter power imbalance. A party who is more famous will have more influence in the mediation, who thinks he or she is more superior. At the moment, what should a mediator do? You're trying to facilitate a mediation process for parties to reach an agreeable solution. At the same time, you are encountering difficulties because of the attitudes of parties in dispute. Dealing with difficult party mediation requires patience, strategy, strong interpersonal skills, etc. So, what are those tips that can help a mediator to effectively manage difficult party? One of them is staying calm and being neutral in the mediation process. You don't have to take side or show frustration in the mediation process. We cannot forget the fact that even the mediator have his or her own emotions. But at the moment, you have to become self-aware of yourself. You have to become self-conscious of your own emotions. You don't allow parties' emotions either also to consume you. You don't take side, you don't show frustrations. At the moment, you learn to also control your own emotions as a mediator. You speak in respectful tone while you remain calm. You maintain control of the environment. You mold the behavior you expect from parties. You don't shout at parties. They can even shout at you as a mediator in an intense situation, because you are the one facilitating the mediation process. You are the one in charge of the mediation process, but not the outcome as a mediator. When emotions are high, parties are filled with tense emotions. They are filled with high emotions, angry, frustrations. Your duty also as a mediator is to calm the situation down. Because your role as a mediator is also to de-escalate conflict in the mediation process. You don't escalate it more, because you encounter difficult parties. Another tips you can use to handle difficult parties in mediation is acknowledge their concerns, show empathy. Sometimes difficult behavior comes from feeling unheard. They feel like, oh, this mediator is not listening to me. Use active listening to acknowledge their concerns. Paraphrase whatever they've said, summarize, show understanding, show that you are listening, show empathy. For example, you can use the word "I hear that you feel that your viewpoint has not been respected." Can you explain more clearly, just to show concern that you're listening to both parties and you treat them equal? Number one thing, at least you can use to manage difficult parties in mediation. Another one is set clear ground rules before the mediation starts. There must be ground rules. At the beginning, you agree on basics, rules of respect. You take turn in talking. You take turn respecting someone else's view. You don't interrupt someone else. Set basic ground rules that will cover the mediation process so that if any party breaches that rule, you remind them. At the beginning, we said nobody should interrupt the other party, nobody should interrupt party A, party B, nobody should raise the voice on party A or party B, and nobody should speak while the other person is speaking. We speak one at a time. So when someone is trying to breach those basic rules, you remind them. This is what we agreed at the beginning of the mediation. So with that, you can be in charge of the mediation. You can control behaviors. You agree on confidentiality. You agree on respectful speaking to party A or party B. So if the rules are broken, you remind them calmly and firmly, not shouting at them either also, because you're trying to manage difficult party in the mediation. So when you make things more difficult, it can only escalate more of conflict while in the mediation process. You can reinforce taking a break, pausing at the session, just to calm the situation down. At the moment, you can use private sessions. Even at the beginning of the mediation, you've already explained to parties about private sessions. The caucus where you speak to one party at a time, and the private session, you've already explained that to them, so that when you ask a party for a private session, they don't think like you're trying to take side. You've already explained the rules to them. It's all about one-on-one discussion in the mediation process. Explore why they are acting difficult in the private session. It could be as a result of fear, anger, or it could be as a result of misunderstanding. Use the opportunity to de-escalate conflict privately without embarrassing them. Reframe negative sentences. There's another tips to manage difficult parties. You turn hostile, unhelpful remarks into neutral, positive statement. Because in the mediation process, a mediator can even use the word "you are wrong" in the mediation, or "he's always lying, he's not saying the truth." You can use such word, and you're trying to manage difficult parties. So you change "he's always lying" like, are you trying to say there is a trust issue? Okay, let's explore that. Are you trying to say there is no respect in this process? Can we talk about that? What's your view? So you won't use the negative sentence like he's lying, he's not speaking the truth, in order not to escalate more conflict. Focus on the interest. Is another way to manage difficult parties, not their position. Help the parties to shift from rigid demands to underlying needs. Ask questions, because even in mediation, another way to deal with difficult parties, asking clarifying questions. For example, you can say, what is the more important to you in this situation, just to be able to get their interest, their needs, their underlying needs. Because the questions you ask also in mediation can help to manage the process positively or negatively. And it can also help the mediator to be able to get clues about their underlying needs, not the position. Core interest in the mediation. because type of questions you also ask in mediation matters a lot. Constantly redirect the conversations toward finding a common ground for both parties, party A, party B. You have to stay solution oriented. Even while sometimes some mediations don't end up with resolutions, but you have to move the mediation because you don't force party. The outcome belongs to them, but you guide them in the process. Where there are common interests, you guide them towards that. So make sure you move them, know when to pause, know when to end. If emotions escalate too much, suggest a break, a pause session, so party can calm down. Go for tea breaks, coffee breaks. Because as a mediator, you must show patience. You must be patient with party because it's all about conflict. If behaviors become too aggressively or too abusive, you could use you could necessarily terminate the session, and the session pause, take a break. You can even adjourn the mediation process for safety and for professionalism. So at the moment they could go and calm down a bit, come back, choose a date to come back for the mediation process. Because you can be managing difficult parties at the same time in the mediation process. Tensions are escalating, more of conflict are escalating in the mediation process, and you still want to go on. You can cause more trouble. So that's why, as a mediator, you must learn about parties' emotions, your own emotions, know when to take a break, know when to pause, when to go for private sessions to calm situation down. There are a lot of tips you can learn more to manage difficult parties in mediation. Even a mediator can be difficult in the mediation process. Anyone in the mediation can be difficult so a mediator also must be approachable in the mediation process. If party can't speak to you because they fear that you're difficult even as a mediator, it's because more trouble. That's why mediator must be humble in the mediation process. Forget about if you have a high status in the society, or you're popular, you're famous. At the moment, you're not thinking about that. You're only trying to help to negotiate a mediation process, facilitate the process between parties in conflict. At the moment, even you are sitting in front of a highly influential party, you're not looking at their famousness or whatever their position in the society. You're looking at what is their interest in this mediation process. Whosoever they are in the society will not influence you. But what are we talking about? What are those common grounds between both parties that can help them reach an agreement? You focus on that. That's why, as a mediator, you must remain neutral. The mediation principles must be your watchword at all time. You must be neutral. You must show impartial. You must be impartial. Because even if you show that you're not neutral, you could complicate more matters in the mediation process. So as a mediator, while you managing parties' emotions, you also learn to manage yours, because parties can read your non-verbal clues. So become self-aware, self-conscious, be humble, be approachable. Be humble in the mediation process in order for you to be able to manage difficult parties also in mediation. And you as a mediator also shouldn't make the mediation also difficult for parties. So you have to learn the steps, learn others, read, attend webinars to improve your skills on how to manage difficult parties, because no mediation is the same. Every mediation process is different and unique in their own way. So learn that so you have a positive mediation process, even if it doesn't entirely end in resolution, but at least parties do that you've managed the process calmly without showing bias, and they could trust you if they want to come back again to use the mediation process. Remember, the mediation process, the facilitation belongs to you as a mediator, while whatever outcome, whatever agreement that will be reached in the mediation process are being determined by parties. The outcome belongs to parties in the mediation.